Okay. Good morning. It's Don Briggs, your mayor. Today is Saturday, February 27th, 2021. Today I'm joined by our county executive, Jan Gardner, and it's wonderful to have you here again. We're in the front end of this thing, pandemic, in May, and now we're, I guess, finishing up the second surge, and I really appreciate your time to come up here. I know you guys people are very, very busy. In some sense, we're still under Maryland Strong Roadmap to Recovery, Governor Hogan's April 24th plan. It's been stretched, altered, recalibrated. The plan moves on and plays out. We now have a vaccine, and shots are going into arms. And if I may just ask you a question about the metrics for the county on this pandemic, county executive.
Well, thank you for having me, first of all. It's nice to come to Emmitsburg. I haven't been out and about around the county as much as I'm accustomed to during this pandemic, so it's nice to be here and to see you in person.
Right.
The pandemic has been with us now for almost a year. In mid-March, it will be a year since we had the first case in Frederick County. And we've had over 16,800, almost 900 cases in the county that have been determined to be positive. It's likely to be more than that because, some people never go to get tested. And so we had a big surge. Actually, the worst month we had since the beginning of the pandemic was in January of this year. That was our highest number for hospitalizations and also our highest number for deaths. So we've been happy to see the numbers improving. Our number of new cases per day have fallen into, somewhere around 40 or 50. Today it's 41. And we had some days where we were up in the high hundreds or even over 200 new cases a day in the December and January period. Our peak number of hospitalizations was 72 on January 18th. We're down to about 33 people in the hospital right now. And that's still a high number of people to have in the hospital with one particular illness. And we continue to have 5, 6, 7 people in the ICU in critical condition. I think the most astounding statistics and the saddest of all the statistics is the deaths. We've had 2 deaths in the last 24 hours, bringing our number of deaths to 269. So those are Frederick County families who have lost a loved one. I mean, they're statistics, but they're real people. And I will say that to put that into context, over the last 5 years, we've had 268 deaths from heroin and opioid overdoses. And so in less than a year of having the COVID virus here, we've had more deaths than we had in 5 years over the crisis of heroin and opioids. So it helps to put that into context a little bit. So we're hoping to continue to see the numbers improve, and certainly that has been good. On the national news, they're saying maybe it's going to level out a bit because we're going to see the variants. I don't think we really know for sure what the impact of the variants will be. But I did read and see a chart from the Maryland Department of Health that shows that the variant may become the predominant strain as soon as April in Maryland. So that is said to be more contagious, which could mean more cases and more hospitalizations. On the good news side, we're rolling out the vaccine, and it's been slower than we want because there's been a limited supply of vaccine. But the Public Health Department and the hospital have been using both Moderna and Pfizer to vaccinate people in our community. Of course, we started with healthcare workers who are on the front line, our first responders, and our nursing homes. And I'm pleased to say that even after 2 months, deaths in nursing homes have plummeted by 60%. And so we're seeing the immediate positive impact of the vaccine. We did experience a couple of weeks where we had reduced number of vaccines coming from the state to the county health department and to the hospital. The hospital was getting 975 doses a week, and they dropped to 100. And the county health department dropped to 1,300, which really slowed our ability to administer the community. And so I am pleased to say that for the upcoming week, the hospital has had their doses increased back to 1,000 and the county back to 1,800. So that's a bit of good news. I think the federal government is distributing more doses to the state. And also, we're looking forward to the J&J vaccine coming out, which was authorized today by the FDA. And that is a one-shot dose, and that will certainly help us to get people vaccinated more quickly. So we're doing the best we can. We have really focused on, in the public, on the people age 75 and older. And we believe we've gotten through everybody who is 75 and older had signed up through the vaccine interest forms with the county. So if anybody's listening to this and you're 75 years or older and you have not been vaccinated, and I hope you want to be vaccinated, you can call 301-600-7900 Monday through Friday, 8 to 5, and we will help you to schedule an appointment. So again, that number is 301-600-7900 Monday through Friday, 8 to 5. That's our call center. We stood up a call center. We have 25 county employees working on that call center to really help our seniors to sign up and anybody else who doesn't have internet access, because we want people to get vaccinated. So because we've gotten through all the people that we are aware of who are 75 and older, we have started to vaccinate people who are 74 and older. And we'll go backwards and go down to get till we get everybody 65 and older. So there's about 2,000 people in each age group. Sometimes it's 2,500, sometimes it's 1,900, but it's more or less in the 2,000s or low 2,000s. And so, it will take us about a week to get through each group.
Right.
We're also trying to go out to an independent living community every week to vaccinate in that on-site. And we're vaccinating on-site group homes for people with developmental disabilities. And we're also trying to vaccinate teachers. So this week we did 325 people in the education group. And hopefully as vaccines go up, we can pick up the pace for our educators. As you know, Frederick County Public Schools opened their hybrid last week, even though they had a couple of snow days in there and didn't really get it kicked off like they had wanted to. So teachers really want to be vaccinated and are in that 1B group. So ultimately, I hear from a lot of people, a lot of demand for the vaccine, but I do expect over the next month or so that the volume of vaccine will increase significantly due to the addition of the Johnson & Johnson vaccine, but also due to increased production of Pfizer and Moderna. So I do think we're going to shift at some point to really encouraging people to get the vaccine. If we're going to beat the virus and we're going to beat the variants, which should be everyone's goal, we do need everybody to take advantage of the opportunity to get a vaccine. So when your age group or your group of workers comes up, we want you to get vaccinated.
Well, that's quite an update. Thank you.
It is, and I do want to say I advocated last week with the Secretary of Health for more vaccine, and 5 counties got more vaccine. We were one of them, and that was worthwhile. And I've also asked to have a pharmacy in North Frederick County be a distributor of vaccine, because there is no location in Emmitsburg or in Thurmont, and their CVS's and Walgreens and some other types of pharmacies are getting 100 to 200 doses a week from the federal government, and I specifically asked to have a pharmacy in North County opened up.
Oh, thank you very much. It's quite an undertaking, all this. In our 21727 zip code, we've had 353 confirmed cases. That's up from 329 cases at the beginning of February. So we're hoping this will slow down a little bit. Our town office is still closed because we're in a county-owned building, and also because of town protocols to protect our staff and the public. And our meeting will be held this Monday night March 2nd. That's our regular scheduled town meetings, Monday. It will be a virtual closed session meeting. And with that in mind, Ms. Gardner, when do you think the county buildings will open up a little bit?
We're at the beginning of that discussion.
Okay.
Certainly, we've had some of our divisions, depending on what they do, working split shifts, and we certainly have a number of employees that are front-facing in the community. Even at places like the landfill, which people don't think about, but a lot of people come through the gate there, and there's a lot of interaction with people. We want to keep our employees healthy. I do track every week how many employees within county government either have COVID or are quarantining. And the largest number has always consistently been in the fire service because, they're out actually transporting people who are ultimately deemed positive with COVID, so they have some exposure. I'm hoping we've seen those numbers fall since we've been able to vaccinate our fire and EMS staff. But we're discussing it. There's a couple of counties, for instance, who have begun to open library services and have done that by appointment only. So that's under discussion. So I think it will happen slowly. I don't think we're going to just open our buildings back to where they would normally operate and have big community meetings. I don't think we're going to see that soon. But hopefully as we get into summer, we'll see some activity in our buildings. So we'll let you know.
Okay, that's great. And I think we're planning on maybe having some different protocol here by May or June that we serious consideration. You've made an exciting announcement the first part of the midweek here about the something up here, and could you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yes, I was very excited to be able to announce that Frederick County government purchased 152 acres from Mount St. Mary's University for a North County regional park. And that property is located on the east side of 15, just south of the Mount St. Mary's campus. And it's the property straddles Mater Station Road. And it is a piece of property that has some open areas. It also has some forested areas. So there'll be some open areas where we can put ball fields and those kinds of amenities. We can also have some passive recreation with trails through the wooded areas. There's a cemetery on the property, and we'll certainly preserve that cemetery. I've actually already heard from families who have members of their families buried in that cemetery, and they wanted to be assured that that would be preserved. And there'll be an ongoing positive partnership with the Mount. Obviously, they'll be able to use the park to some extent themselves. And to the extent that our parks aren't as busy during the day, they may be able to use some of those amenities, which are then more actively used by the public, after traditional school hours and on weekends. So I'm looking forward to appointing a master plan committee and to get started with planning that park and what will be in it, what it will contain. We always have a community-based advisory committee do that. Now, Mount St. Mary's University did have a concept plan drawn. They used the same architect that the county uses for the development of most of our parks. So they laid out something that I think will really be the foundation, the beginning of that discussion. Probably most interesting from my perspective is back when I was president of the county commissioners back in 2006 to 2010, in 2010, I almost had an agreement ready to be finalized with the Mount to purchase this same property. And, you remember Joe Lebhertz and some of the other people that we worked with at the university. And when I left office, because I didn't run for re-election in 2010, it was close to being done, and I thought the next administration would finish that off. Well, the next administration decided they didn't want to invest in parks. They nixed the deal. They stopped all the development and construction of parks in the county. And so we came back since Dr. Tim Traynor has been the president of Mount St. Mary's and have worked on this land acquisition. So I know that Mount is excited about it. We're excited about it. I think it's going to be great for the community.
I think we're all excited about it too. I've walked over there for 25 years, and it's going to be a wonderful addition, and we really thank you for everything you've done with that.
Well, you're welcome. When we opened the Othello Park down near Brunswick, I got some emails from people who live in the northern part of the county saying, when are we going to get a turn?
Right.
So I'm really glad to be able to say, your turn is coming. Here's the location. We look forward to engaging the community in the development of the park. And I will say with the pandemic, one of the things people can get out and do to make sure they take care of their mental health and avoid cabin fever is to go to a park and take a walk, take a hike, ride a bike.
Absolutely.
And so our parks over the past year have seen a 44% increase in attendance.
Right.
And we have over 3 million visitors in our parks, and they're mostly county residents.
Wow.
And so they are used and they are enjoyed and really loved. And of course, closest to Emmitsburg from a regional standpoint is the Utica District Park. And I know a number of people who go there to walk. And we just developed some fields and a new section with a destination playground, which is quite fabulous if you haven't seen it. But you can go there and people sight bald eagles there. And so that's pretty exciting. So one of the upsides is we're connecting people to nature a little bit, getting people to slow down and enjoy the outdoors. So probably more people have seen our parks and have discovered some new things that they wouldn't have otherwise done.
Well, that's fantastic. Well, thank you. We're really excited about taking the next step there. And everybody, I want to always thank our frontline people working food stores out there, our gas stations, just as a sample of what our emergency people are doing here. Vigilant Hose Company answered 55 fire calls and 100 ambulance calls in the month of February. That's over 5 per day. It's incredible for primarily volunteer fire department. We want to thank you all for that. Now, Punxsutawney Phil said we have 6 more weeks of winter. I know March comes in like a lion and goes out like a lamb. We shall see. And would you have any final comments for us?
Nope. I just want to say to everybody, we do have good news about the coronavirus between the vaccines and seeing cases decline, but I do want to encourage everybody to continue to be vigilant, to wear their masks, to physical distance, and to wash their hands. I think if we can do that for another few months, it'll make a big difference. And I hope in the summer or by fall, we can be back to a more usual way of life. It may not be exactly our normal way of life, but it'll be more usual. So I really want to encourage people to hang in there, do your part, and we really want to get out there and support each other and to stay healthy. I will say, a number of businesses, right now the county's pretty much following all the limitations and requirements that the governor has put in place in terms of operations of a variety of businesses, which are at 50% of capacity or some other level, depending on what kind of business they are. We continue to try to support these businesses with grants from the federal government, the state, from the county. Generally, our Office of Economic Development is the granting agency for those. And there'll be more of those coming. And I want to make sure that the small Main Street businesses in Emmitsburg and in some of our other smaller communities, pay attention and take advantage of this money. It's there to help them to weather this storm so that when things get back to more usual, they'll be ready to thrive again. And that's really what we want to see happen.
Well, thank you. Again, thank you for coming up today, and it's really a pleasure to have you here. And for myself, the commissioners, and the town staff, and the residents, thank you for coming here today. To everyone out there, we'll have Shannon Moore, manager of the Sustainability and Environmental Resources Office of the County Executive Office, as our guest next Thursday, March 4th. To everyone, mask up, social distance, grab a shovel, dig out, roll up the sleeve, and get a shot. It seems like a pretty good routine for the proper gait for Lent. And thank you for your time today. Thank you again, Commissioner, County Executive.
Thank you for having me.